Hey, Tashidalek. How are you this morning? Nice. Oh, uh-oh. Oh. All right, we're back. Did you have any interruption, Anne, or you were okay?
I was okay on my end, but I saw my face disappear from your screen.
Perfect. Okay, good. How are we doing today? We're good? Enjoying the rain? Yes, I enjoyed that rain. So today we're very lucky that Anne Fink has joined us to lead today's class.
Ta tiri nga zo gen and la aneta thone juji de tiri nga zada de triens.
Anne is a very dear friend of mine. We met at the Neuroethics Society meeting.
Da danda nga gen align bana nga rang tomo chiens nga rang tu sa te danda once Henry tang David kunju sa chor wa te gi chondu kap su tuju tin yens.
And last year she joined us just like this to teach the nuns.
Da nanya lo yim ba na mo ta thone dus jushi ji de ta chwela jun zanda chor wa te triores.
I'm not going to do too much more in the way of introduction because she will introduce herself.
Da danda gen la korti nga rang ngutu mabuchi mes te gen la korang ngutu nang gres.
But I definitely wanted to say a very special and warm thank you because it is 11 p.m. in New Jersey and Anne is staying up so she can work with you.
Da gilala tuchi shigi yes mugse tuchi sha yes kachla da New Jersey la phala ya gonda chokchi sende ore simbana de anjenda thya chete ne gonda chu de chi tusna de ore tela mugse gi tuchi sha yes.
So one more thing I will say, this exercise today, Anne will introduce, but it will be about neuroplasticity. But I really want you to take away the process. So the content is important, but I want you to see another way of communicating your neuroscience.
Da tiran gen la ge thya ta dbya gi chego de nga chu wang si ge nyen shi ge kores da de chirtang ge ba na kho ge nang tun te ju shi te ke chembu shi ta re sim bai na ya teli ke chwa chi la ya chego de driva ge datang chi ro datang te che su gu tu na che che ani te che su gu chimala lakhtat bya chi nang ro chi es.
I know we have made several references to the special issue of that journal that we published for ETSI and reviewed the paper that Mina wrote with Anna on drawing to learn.
Da nga su ge diga tele labar de center ta bya ti ga la ya nga su ge nem bu kha chi sure is diga labar de tanda ani emerto poch Henry Leram gi tutab chi ton yor wa tanda tutep tig nang na chesum chik nang la ya ge mina da nan chag nyam tu chomi chi tri ti gang la ya ani nga su chi karsa remove drag kor la ya ani jo sha de ta chomi chi tri ton yores.
So later in the week we'll talk more about the peer review process in publishing, and I'll remind you again and I'll show you something that Anne drew and that was published in another journal that I work in.
Da danda nga su nima khachi je la ya nga su danda nanyen char ship je gi chomi tena ru kanda spegi yo me chi oro pratan kanda ru chi yo me ti jurun chi gi ani timda shenda danda ge en la ge trisha ju chomi ro ta ku ga remove chi ti ko la trisha ju chomi chi yang ti tab shenda chi ga la ya ku pratan chi sha bote yang mutu chayens.
So I don't want to take up any more time. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Anne Fink.
Da danda so mambo sama gu ga ne ge en la ya unzina ro chis. Yes, please.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hugh, and I'm just very happy to be here. I had a great time last summer and happy to be here with you today.
Ge jile hula tu chis ne Nanjulu imbana nga dus triagu ku kap chons ha chan tu jons tinashin talu dus jaba chitsula dus jaba tiang ha chan go jons.
So I have some slides to help us go through this activity and also to introduce myself. Excuse me. So I'll start sharing those slides now.
Da tirangi chegu tan rewa ta gar nguktu tan rewe gi lokton nyer khachi zu shayes ti tan da dus tayes.
Okay. So the workshop that I'm going to do with you today is about neurons and plasticity. I know you're talking a lot about cells with Dr. Hugh later.
Da tiranga su ga rewa chegu ti ane wansa thazu ta ne wansa ga nyen shu ko yens ti ti chela ga su thapong tang ti ko tian desijayens.
First, I'll just briefly introduce myself and tell you a little about my background and what I do.
Da tampo te la ya ngarange chi ngarange jabjong tingu she che te ngarang ngutu chi chi yens.
So I have a kind of unusual background for a scientist. I think I have a PhD in neuroscience from 2008, and I just received a master's in social work this year.
Da ngarang sambai bana ngarang chi lobjung chi ai gi jurum tan jajong ta bana this mando cancer chi ores ngarang bana wansa chen na la yam bana batin ton jelo la tar sambayens bana ta tan nga so simjil ho marwa chi cho shap shi na simjil ho ma te talu tar sambayens.
So I did my PhD in research related to learning and memory and plasticity, and I've been doing research and teaching for almost 20 years.
Tang ye brabati thashin ti jela ya simji chia te go chu de ta ane simji chia ta lo chen thia ti nyam tu si che ne simji chia ta lo chen thia tu si che ne lu ni shi chi las tu dus.
And then I decided that I wanted to change my career a little bit and do critical mental health work. And so I went and got this additional degree and a license.
Ta tanda ti chela ya ngarang chi cheli dilan jwa do chi tan tu de te tanda nga su ka su gre ta takship chi ta nga su samgi kang ge thela ya takship chi ge chi gor wa ta o tire do ge cheli likati yan chi bayens.
So like Dr. Hugh said, like Julian said, I'm located in New Jersey here in the US, very close to New York.
Da ge jilen ge sombana shenga desate New Jersey la yes New Jersey ta ko ya New York ton tha New York.
And I continue to do some work in neuroscience and neuroethics. So here's a brain, actually, that's been partly dissected to show the hippocampus.
Da tim se dan do methetim bana ngarange ka wansa serik telaya dus karsa cheli likati drip tan deshin bayis tanda delaya parchiktan shabati lepag parchis.
And I'm also active in the graphic medicine community, which uses comics to tell stories about health and illness.
Da shenda bana ngarang tanda karsa jenri latini deti ani karsa di amen chikpe chorwati tat picha shapana dinadolaya ngasuge remote de ta ne ti tablet la tene ta me ko la ma ngutu che choro ti ko la ya di alika chi yes.
And so finally I just became licensed in New Jersey, and I'm just beginning my practice as a psychotherapist and a mental health practitioner.
Da New Jersey na ne tanda nga la ya ani chi ka sa ti laglemba gi lagcheti top sonsta laglemba lagcheti tanda psychotherapist lista balanga chu samkhang gi samkhang suji chi ni ta ani tanda samkhang gi thoteng laglemba gi lagcheti to ton tanda ti lika chi gi yes.
So I'm very excited to be able to draw with you today about neuroscience and to find out why what we draw about might be important to you.
Da tiri delanga su wansa chari ta la par de ne wansa chari de chu ge kare chene ke chimbu thoma thon ti ko la ya nyam tu sta so si chia ku ka chon ta cha ko jons.
So if everybody is ready, I don't know if there are any questions before we start. I'd like to jump right into a drawing activity. Is that okay?
다 당부 nguma draw draw na draw tang draw me ba na ga su ta remote ge guzu ga tin guzu shagins draw no questions. They're ready to jump into the drawing.
We're ready to start drawing. Okay, let's get drawing. Okay, so first we do a warm-up sheet.
Da 당부 de nga su ge chi jong da shigins.
Yeah, so you grab a first sheet of paper.
당부 chi su la da sho ta te sha ro sho go chi te swa sho go chi te swa.
And all of our exercises today will be, our drawing periods will be very short, and I'll time them and I'll let you know when each period is over.
Da tirang nga su ge remote ya te ko tin shigun go ya tin da mes ro ane thong yes da ko kan da chi gu ya me te ngo chi shin ru yes da tang pu ti.
Does everybody have a piece of paper?
Samala ra sa sho go kar pu tong pa chi te swa.
It's okay?
Yes.
Gen zopa. Digi video te la ga sharst. Class video on the screen. Yeah. Ngatsun zinja ge class video te la screen share ni chirst. Can you see the class on your screen, class video?
I can see the class from the back.
Oh, you want to see.
Now I can see the class from the front.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So everybody
Okay.
paper, I was just giving
Are we ready, and does everybody have their paper?
Yes, everybody's ready.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so for our first warm-up, this is just to get our hand loosened up.
Da tampo te jondar indas, jondar.
So I'll time us for 1 minute. Draw as many shapes as you can on your piece of paper.
Da kamashkana tele roa. Kamashkana tele ane charage 10th khnyu ga remove ga yips gorwa ta katsu 10 chitro chis.
So I'll start now.
Chusung guzu chi chaba yes remove zo ta karin and kores katsu 10 chitro chis. Gezoba. Alendi ngatsu control chigi yor ngatsu video la ja ni je thona diura chita ma thona
About 15 seconds left.
Karsa chungal handus.
And wrap up.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Sauce.
Okay, so the next thing is just coloring those shapes as fully as possible with a color different from the outline. And we'll do that for 2 minutes.
That tige nibade kar sigure system ba chisuga ta remote sha ro zo tan damra chitu sha ro o tige na tele chontra ta ya res ta chontra ka ma ta ro chi is na cha pa ka za la cha pa chi kama ni yes.
So I'll start now.
Tichung gu cha ba yin sa.
halfway done.
So check out those.
Getting ready to finish up. It's okay if you didn't color all of the shapes in. And wrapping up whatever you're coloring. So now just turn to your neighbors and show each other what your shapes are, what they look like, and the color. Here's mine. Okay, so now we all have a page with some shapes and some colors. We've got our hand loose for drawing.
That is Tanya. Tangasu Tamalaya, you drummed a chena to the Tonton drummed the Tanju Yuris, and the Lola Yuris.
And from a teaching standpoint, it can be really useful to start off a class with a very short, fun drawing exercise.
Zentang goods is Tambala, Tampo, the Tinton, Chicanalaya, and a chica Satuna, then by Chig, Remuchi tree, Chipaimana, Yanko, Zentag Unzitanchgoram, Gunzitan, the Yabuchi race, to Chitina Yabu race.
So that sometimes it can bring everybody into the room so that they're present together.
The Cochetical and a Sam and Zentana, Lebata, Zentana, the Yamski, Apu, Chetra, or the Chetians.
Okay, so now we'll go on to our neuron drawing exercise.
That is Jelang Atsukarchi, no once a Tazi remote yes.
So take a piece of paper, like you see on the screen, and fold it into four. Like this.
Shogo Saba, Shogo Tanda Kutana Soro, Shogo Saba Ju Kirwa, De Shitap Jishosta.
And also make a frame around each of the four panels, like I did.
That's what she said. She just grew young. She just tumbu she chasa soa. Remember, and it tumbu she chasa sona kaya tangrua. And it tumbu re la ya gelagi tengdo. The tumbu re la ya kuga tadrum titro cheese tati. They do a gelagi de la tende the video gala. That's it. Step Stambalaya, she has us on Watumbo. Roa, Trishi Chagdua, Trishi Shigiri Talaya, the Tadrum Titrosesa.
And you can let me know when everybody is ready. They folded and they, yeah.
Can you show your paper?
Oh, yeah.
Tomoda Gelagate. Riri la tha chereta. Chojok dina teng da video na ne.
Is that good?
No, not yet. Then we are ready.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's okay, no hurry. Do they still want to see this?
통해 통도와. 살람 살라시 통도와. 다치슬 드시시도와 드시시찰라야 탈라야 딱자리 나가라. 인데도 돼. 그래서 네 통금 돼. kansa jalak dida. Thala tak dinner troches. Tamatra. Bisa? Ya pu khathi tina go ma sha sha tsan ko ya. That's us. Ready? They're ready now.
They're ready? Okay, great. So, we'll make our comic. You can see I labeled each panel 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Da de la tushi shi doga tushi shi de la ya gela imana tushi de la ya trangka te shayos angitirwa tangponyo samba shiwa te shayos.
Another thing we're going to do, which is a really good use of comics for learning, is we're going to work together. So we're going to pass it around the table to make a comic.
Da tanda de ka so comic la nga chung guris ko ra guris ro remote gucho tanga tis ko ra ta remote ret ro ta di ka so nga so kari chigin sena di ka tu ko ya go chung chi kari ro ses tambala ya ani mi mando chi pa imba ro tis tambala ya tanda nga so doksi kan dus kuraja chi remote sin ru gins.
Yeah, so this is a way to learn collaboratively.
Da tanda de kar la stamba nga su nyamli chi ya ge yang ko jirum chi chag yores.
Okay, so let's get started. In the first panel, draw a neuron.
Remu tangpo tigna la ro tangpo se ko ro ta tushi tangpo tigna la. Tushi tangpo tigna la ya wangsa chazu chi ro chis.
And we'll do 2.5 minutes of time.
La ya kama ni ta cheka yes.
No, I was talking. What was the instruction?
I
wasn't paying attention. What am I supposed to be doing right now?
Draw a neuron.
Neuron.
Yeah.
In the first
Yes,
Yeah.
in panel 1.
The first panel. Tushi
Yeah.
tangpo tigna la ya wangsa chazu chi ro chis. 2.5 minutes for that.
Yeah. And if you finish drawing your neuron, you can always add color.
Ro ne remove chirgi tsa ne chorang de ka chonta tana la degrees.
One more minute.
Karma chilhasons.
About 15 seconds.
Karcha chunga.
So wrapping up. finishing up whatever you're drawing.
아하 다 따라 잡아지로지스.
Okay. So now we're going to pass that piece of paper to your right.
아하
And
다 차송스 치서조송스 다 저런 거 트샤주티 저런 거 럭바 이쇼 사기 미틀라 테로지스. 럭바 이쇼 차. 수수가 럭바 이쇼 차마?
yeah, just around the table.
수수가 럭바 이쇼. 럭바 이쇼 세나 두스 파파로야? 수수가 테파 이쇼 사제야마?
Are we all settled?
Lisa. That one do. Yes, they're ready.
Okay. So now that we passed it to the right, how would this neuron communicate with another neuron? Draw them.
아하. 다 제수가 이쇼가 메들라 땅사로와다. 녀티카베 시스템발라야. 원서 터즈 디게스. 네 원서 터즈 셴데 지라야. 다툼 간다스동 그레스. 디트로지스. In the two, right? In the two panel, number 2.
In panel number 2. Yeah.
로 단다 트시 이바디나라. 다 이쇼 트시 데르도가. 트시 이바디나라야 카레트구레 세나 당포나 트샤주 티게 원서 타주 티게 네 원서 트시 셴다 지라야 다튼 간다스당 그레스. 디트로지스.
Okay, so 2.5 minutes.
아하, कर्मनिता शेकायस.
About 1 minute left.
Kamachilhasons.
About 15 seconds, so finishing up.
Karsha Chumalasons and Jigdonroches.
Finishing up whatever you're drawing.
Aha, the call had on a Taranta, Jigdon Chawachiroches.
Okay, so now you probably are guessing that you'll pass it to the right again, and that's what we'll do.
다 수수가 양 예술라 파탄로 치스.
And for this next one, I'd like you to think about how would these neurons learn something together? What would change? What would that look like?
다 디르다. 숨바디가 나라 로아다 예술라 수수가 파테사 로아티가 젤라야 원서 테지 디수게스 로 원서 테지 디타케스 다치 원서 테지 단단히 치어로라 원서 테지 디타게 아니 그게 따짱이 사바치 장바임바이나 간다스 장그레스 원서 타주 디타게 니츠 사바치 장바이나 간다스 장그레스 다 트야테 카레투그레스나 장발 때니 데테 카린 주란두그레스 디트로치스 कुछ कुरंगी नीचे साबाची जांबा इमाइना कंडस जंगरेस ता रिमोट रहते करे टुगरे ती जांबा लते ने जरा करे टुगरेस दिस
So just to check in, are there any questions?
try it
रिमोट दादाजी करे जुगोय में कुछ मासो
and they're not sure what to draw.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing about this exercise. It's hard to draw what it would look like for the neurons to learn, right?
라 다시기 만나 단대 정선 디기 다시 정도 지역에 제군 디기 거기 접사치 따라자레스 그게 간다스 정글에서 때 트야테 실기 만나 지금 선로 동마트가 가보요레스.
So I wonder what it would be like to just imagine. It doesn't have to be scientifically accurate. Just imagine what that might look like to you.
다 되려야 지차리 탄탄바트라 도인고 말에 수수가 삼루 지땅되대. 세수 삼루 야보다도 제일 거다. 와서 터스가 서와 지잖아 그럴란 줄 알고 그래. 어디 뜻처러네?
So I wonder, are they ready to give it a try? Are there any other questions?
They're ready.
Oh, okay, they're ready. Okay, let's go. We'll do 2.5 minutes.
가만히 또 제가 요즘 고주지 사이언스.
About 1 minute left.
가만히 하소스.
And another 10 seconds or so.
Karcha choose last.
I'm wrapping up.
That jikdom jaro cheese. Chitso songs.
Okay, so one more. We pass to the right again.
That answer to your rest. This Susuga Yeshon Salaya do storoches.
So we drew what it would look like for these neurons to learn. But now, what would it look like for these neurons to forget something?
That under Sumbatina Telenga Suga Correctores and once it has it is Nitsu Sapachi jump by Mana Kananuchi or a Titibarwa. That Shibatina La Correctores and once it has it Ditake Nitsuchi Jepa in Bana, Temba Jepaina, Kananuchi or a Titroches. Chisa Sumbatina Tele once it has Nitsu Sapachi Jambaina, Jura Karin to race a Titibarwa. Shiba Dinalaya once and Tazun Ditake Nitsuchi a Jepain Bana, Tembani Jepain Bina. And a content of your race, Titroches. Yes, sir. Yes, they're ready to draw.
They're ready? Okay, great. So 2.5 minutes.
Kamanjito Chekayus.
Oh, 1 minute left.
Kamachil Hassons.
About 15 seconds.
Karcha, Chunga.
And wrapping up those last lines.
That's Hassons. Judon Roches.
Okay, so a lot of the time we're finished after the 4 panels, but there's one more thing I'd like us to do.
That Andanga Suge, take Kutrishi Signa remote Sabares, that they gala Yanshi and that Chichi Chinito songs.
So pass it back to the first person, so to the left 3 times.
다 연속 살아야 통마슴 당시 아니 당부 수수 공구직사가 밑에를 해봐지로 제스 연속 사당세 연속 살아야 통마시 아니 심당나 수수대 수수라고 와
And let me know when everybody has their page back.
다 수수대 수수라고 제스 당부 지야지고 와 당부 원서 타주지 드림바 수수기 원서 타주 주주고 쇼도 수수라고 바치로 제스 다 도도드래 Yes, they have their own drawing of the first one.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's pretty fun to look at it at this point.
Yeah.
So before we discuss, I wanted to give everybody a chance to just maybe label some structures, write notes, or write questions down about what people have drawn.
Ta tanda dinga sudi machi ngoy la rwa, ta deji machi ngoy la ya, ta susu gu tampu triya te miti la susu te rada yo rwa, ta susu la rapi kapsus, ta ane ko minshan tro ches, ta ko pat susu gu minkari me te tro ches, ane tim se ola ya sintindo u sintundo go guna go ro ches, ne shenda ya, mi shenda gu trisha ju gu rumati ane kanadu chi ina zile truando u triya yo pa, na ya truati yang tro ches.
And if they don't have anything else to do, they can also add color.
To ask questions, do they need to ask questions to the person who has drawn the picture, or?
Oh, I think it'll help if they want to ask questions alongside the drawings to discuss. But it's optional. It's whatever they want to write or ask or color.
Draw your panda yang draw remove damla tina degrees and pala ya remove trinitela patra tina degrees. Yamla remove damla ya draw tina degrees. The susu karinana dona nano chase. And get the tina do chi chair me by and remove on center tanala degrees. Is also 2.5 minutes or?
Yeah, just 2.5 minutes. Just some quick notes.
Kaman itong cheka yus di droyala.
One more minute.
Karma chilhasons.
About 15 more seconds.
Karcha chunga.
and wrapping up.
That's our songs. So those songs.
So now everybody has a page about neurons and about plasticity that they've made collaboratively.
That they like what some Magala once at has Kokolaya, Nyamli Gani, Dubshaju Gurmuchi or is Samala.
So I just want to give you a few minutes to show the people next to you what your pages look like. You can let me know when you're ready to go on.
Do they need to do it on the same group, within the same group, or like other group as well? In the yes.
That's a good question. Do they want to get up and walk around and look at the other tables too? It can be up to them.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Have a walk around the room, and then you can let me know when everybody's ready.
Yeah. Tanda Takashi system balay susugarumuti kirwa. Ne kuraje susurumuti tension zendagarumu conduct the tires. Tadwimbe. Yes, they're ready.
Okay, yeah, so have a walk around, put the pages out on the tables and have a walk around and look at what people make.
But the kid must say, Doxigan Sharochis, and the pa Tarochis, also 2.5 minutes or.
Oh, no, they can take as long as they need, and because we have time, you can just let me know when everybody's
walked around. Okay,
I can show you mine.
They get thank you, Adela.
Take off screen share and show so it's bigger.
Can you stop your screen share and show your picture? That way we can see it bigger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they gela rumula tagimbana gela rumute trudo there.
Well, this is mine. But I didn't get to pass it around. Oh, I can see some of the ones on the desk. Yeah. Very nice.
Idea te Russia. Ro that sent it to court.
I'll put the screen share back up if it's okay.
Kolaya one presenting machine one.
지금 저와 진입 어디다 던질 레몬 수개 인쇄돼 따따따 댄시지. 저와 진입 어디다 던질 레몬이 나죠. 레몬 안에
수기
나죠. 일단 떼버려를 두세요.
라.
잡아 찍어 레.
나 따라만.
자, давай не мы. Не гундо시. Не ша.
나 단담다. karche la ga zani ma
네. 뭐다?
원래 아무래도
이거
kandes samstan
야요.
zani ma chunga le akalza karche de zani ma peche chunga insa
세지 말아요.
가 저런 거 다 가르치나 아
이거 뭐라?
그래 대사고요 그래 그냥 중간이만 맞서는 삼성 그러면 중간이만 삼성
이미 얘는 이거 가르치는 거.
그래
And that's mine on the
Yes.
screen right now.
Oh, that's yours on the screen.
With Michael
That
and
is-
I together.
Oh, you passed it back and forth?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. They're beautiful. Oh, I've seen so many beautiful ones in the room. Those are great. Wow. We should make a little book of these.
Yeah. We can.
Let's do it.
야, 다 철신 랑네 로퍼샤오 사다.
I love all the pictures being taken.
그래, 아버지야, 알았어. 야, 다 인다. So, yes.
We're ready to discuss?
They're ready.
Okay, great. So you can see we actually didn't draw for very long, but there's a lot to talk about.
다 단다로 가 수그 때 리모트 트레일러야. 저 쇼쇼시 따요 말에 심바나 가 순데 달았던데 따야 코 쉐야다 트위터 제때 마부도 왔어.
And I saw a few of the pages, and there are some really beautiful drawings in there.
다 단다들라야 제수 리모트 샤죠 같이 통송 제수 배야고 쇼트샤스.
So now I want to open it up for discussion.
다 단다가 수게 안에 주주티 콜라야 트위터 지기인스.
And maybe we can go panel by panel and start with the first one. What did you notice about how people are drawing the neurons communicating?
다 단다가 수게 가르사데 그 주시 담보 녀서 지가 와테 타기인스 담보처럼 그 다스 담발라야 once it has ke pansula that to pick up sirwa pansula that to pick up sir ani kanda no chi yo bade chana ka kari shi sons kari to no chon sons we see the synapses.
So did most or all people draw a synapse then?
This time again, and the Tamputilla Kuga, Duck and the Stegores standard, said to Manch, you get Delaya, the Tunsam trio esa. Yes.
Yeah. I wonder did any of the synapses look surprising or interesting?
That other Chisuka Tunsam trio or what? Tunsan triba de Yanko, Yan Sambotan, Kensa, Taya Mando, Chikitina Dues. Yes.
How so?
The answer with the cancer conduct reduce. Caperna Kisherish the law, Caprio.
Tanda di nganzo di yogi. Sheja sawa jangdo zambala ni di wanza tazu jiro. Wanza tazu duzo, tusam duzo ya gede chik tine tingi jidro. Kashi yang ko wanza tazu ni yiro. 띵이 바로라 네 원자 팀바데 야마 기데게 데게 다 도바스는 드닝이 스트레스티샤스 시제 사와장데
Shisha Sawajansi he's discussing about the next one when we learn something new, when we learn something. Some of that has draw the neurosignals passing through the synapses. So that's something new that I observed in some of the drawings.
같이 간다 데르모데 트레더와 다기 잔테다 달렌세데 님도 투지 같이요 달렌 산테 니가 님도 투네네 던데지네 카초데 던데지네 트데기 던데모도 고도니 트야죠
알로 달렌세테데 진짜
같이 다기 달렌 산테 원사 차주니 트기와 아니 다기 잔테다 달렌 산테 니게 파치 달렌 다테 지원데 고도니 니가 님도 트네 두고 말아 다기 초드지 달렌 트네 두고 말아 제가 같이 던데 트샤 같이 양 다른 도니 트샤스 덴두문도스 달렌 페나 달렌 다기 님도 카초니 두지니 자니트나 두문도스 던데 트기도스
So what was it about the learning? Oh, if you're speaking, I don't think I can hear you.
They're changing my batteries. Went down.
Okay.
But yeah, he'll update you.
Yeah. Sorry. What
No, that's okay.
Yeah, what he noticed is when he go around, he saw some drawings in which synapses are formed between axons and dendrite and dendrite. That shouldn't be the case. And most of them have their synapses formed between dendrite and axons.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So when I think when we learn, the synapses get stronger. So there's probably a lot of that, right?
Yeah. The shaking when I suge kasa tunsam tripi kapsro ata tunsam tripi kaps tinda do go tujur tissue tar do was man do was.
The other interesting thing is usually axons send signals out and connect to dendrites, but sometimes you do have axo-axonal connections or dendritic connections. So those weird connections can also happen.
Tanda gelage zibage tanda chirgin bananga so dashi saten ge dachi de tan talen saten kan tu google was nga su tum sente trate tu struggle was imay na yang ko tita chitanga dan to tanga dan batirwa imay na yang su dashi saten ge patanga dalen saten ge parola yang ko tum sam trate yung grace. Shende yoy akakande
다 가시 동남 간데 총선은 다게다 단전이 투조던데 가시 투데 샤스라 가시 야 마투체 쿠란게 다다 뉴로트랜스미터라 다텐 쳔바디 말레체 두스 당전이 두스 가시 시마데 드바면로 이네 텐디 하고마스라 So I noticed that there some of the axons and neurons they already connected touch each other, but some of them written as they have some gap and they release neurotransmitter. So I think the second one is correct. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. So that's a really important thing to notice, and I'm glad that came out in the drawings. So most of the synapses that we're interested in, when we're thinking about learning and memory in the brain are those chemical synapses where they release neurotransmitter and the neurotransmitter goes to the next cell.
that and the chicken as you get temper on the what until do once a set of cups to not a sati and as you get zeta touch or zeta tangaya tan devi and once I get to some tisulong as to not see church or race that you got same banner as you get that's in certain nato and could get zeta de tan positive language or the lens certain native language or a tigger language to not see your race.
And then there's always an exception. So we also have gap junctions that where the neurons stick together and communicate electrically with each other directly. There aren't as many of them, but they exist.
Gap junctions Partung tuka tika sakare chigresena ni wansa pankure shaja 2 days 2 day te khu tangaya ge thimbati karichin kandas tangresena lokadati tangres.
You can see already how much really interesting stuff we're noticing.
That the capsanga to non katsu take about Andela Yanko Casagre, then Neta Mando Karim, but then as to Tongo was Mampuyo Parua Neta. Do you want to go to the next 2 questions and hear their opinions?
Yeah, and they can also feel free to ask other questions as they come up, but I'm very interested in how people represented learning and forgetting and what they noticed there.
That they capture that Tampoting as to Tampote Tara, then you but in Banachisuka removes Sumbatan Shiba Tribi Capsum, as you need to Sabachi Jambi Capsa, Kanaduchi Yores, Ranjura Kandugore, and then needs to Tambani Jeba in Bana, Roa Jepa ina, and Kanaduchi Dugore, or data and it's to Kanaduchi and Metu Hakuni to do Sra, Nishenda and Setsula Gila Troy or Bana, and Troa Nana race.
Dinala data the Nizu Sawa Linjo, get dinala the remote the Damar Litisha. Kashigina Tunzam Martin Chituru, and a Kashigina Wanzapro Martin Dish. Remokani to Sletisha.
For in the case of learning something new, I noticed 2 different drawings. In one of them, they have more synapses, and in other drawing, they have more neurons as well.
So with learning, maybe you could have more synapses, or you could have more neurons. Neurons.
Chichi by Banagasu needs to saw a Jambi Capsa, Chitin Samandua, Diana, once a mandua, then the Yinsabaris.
What are the other ways that learning might happen?
Tanasuchi, needs to saw a jump by Bana, needs to saw a jump by Getachi, Jontansu or Royan, Jembakari.
Manza Dinalo Dinitisha. This is on the Manjagi Rumudi, Linju Nibatisha. And Chesandi on the necessary Jan said the Linju Nibatini, Kushilo Dachile, Dadelatini, Linju Nibatina, Rimude Mancha, Linju Nibatisha.
On the last over there, what we have noticed is in our group, when we talk about, in the case of we learn something new, pretty much we have in common is we have represented the action potential in our drawings.
What happens to the action potential with learning?
Yeah, because when they have signals come to the neuron, we have the firing of the action potentials.
Yeah, so the first neuron has an action potential and it synapses on the next neuron and excites it, and then the next neuron has an action potential.
There was the Tamputela Yangasuga once at has a Tamputela Yaku teaching Gurua, Dachion Stambala Kuganala Linji Nibachitengarua, Niji Duatika Sukutumsen GDT, and once it has a Nipati Gandru Stambala, once it has a Nipati Galayam Kulinji Nuatrium Guruas.
So I guess I want to ask, when learning happens, is there a change in how those action potentials fire?
I
text and the picture.
Oh, yeah. Yes, please.
And I text you the picture of the action potential one so you can see.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So just that's
yes,
how it's represented. Yes.
Yes, I'll look at the picture.
Okay, and can you repeat what you have just said before that?
Yes, I'm looking at the picture of the action potential now. Oh, okay. So the action potential happens and the neuron changes. So the question was, when learning happens, are there changes that happen to the action potential too?
That theoretical is tambalaya. Ngasugi nisasaba chi jambi kapsus ane linji nibala yan juran dugres.
Yes, dugres.
Yes. The answer is yes. They're saying yes.
Yeah. So maybe you have more action potentials in the next cell after learning.
Chichi bayana rwa. Tachi nisasaba chi jangwala tenede ta ane once it has tina la ya linji niba mandi barwa. Dinero inspires.
Tangi tiwach tindude.
Do.
To need chatu to.
Last one.
Chi de gong tagin tunsam shev kalaya. Chemical signal drag tunsam chik. And they loda koron drain tunsam. Loda drain tunsam de koron one sani to bedka and it karon jabshash. Somebody would teach us. Tin namjing me quiet chile ti read the new yores. Shamba than the matso tunsum toncha you at the ma yores cosro. Yes, ma, the timba in a situation chiche. Travaniba de Tandandi, Tamba Jena says to Tamba Jena carrot cabato says to only Tandantum Mato Nido. Otelia Pena Capti Loda, one set Chile, one set Chile, Lodan to Intensum de Pena. China to Tamba de Gianjoyana. Quinelin, you want to turn the country to win us. The Intensum the better shade to a cachere, you know, Loda the New into a containers.
He has two questions about the synapses and the synapses or the connections. You have mentioned about two different connections between two neurons. First one is the synapses, and the second one is the gap junction. And what I have heard is the connection we have is mostly synapses and the less of gap junction. So is that the case? Is that true? The first question is that. And the second question is, when we forget something, in some cases they're saying that the synapses falls off. They come apart. Is that the case, or the chemical signals or the electric signals stop to transmit between the synapses?
So these are really great questions.
So
the first one, yes, we tend to have more synaptic communication than gap junctions. Gap junctions, but it depends on where you are, what kind of cells and what kind of area of the nervous system. But yes, we tend to have more synapses. Gap junctions are more rare.
Tashirgin Bananga Sugale Pagachashi Coach, you may tell a rally ray, and by Nayanga Suga Chigi Chani to Staba in Bana, Nangasuka Tunsenga Datum Wateta, Ane Tandagi Kasa, Pertungi Tuka says to a gap junction says to a Tinsha Tangatur Bambana, Taranjares, Nangasulaya, Tunsamti, Tunsamgi Datum Mawachi, and it a Pertunga Tuka says to a Hotel Data get Tishirgin Banayores.
And the second question, so the answer is both. So you can have learning happen through a growth of new dendrites or the pulling back of new dendrites, so the growth of new connections or the pulling back. You can also have learning happen without any change in the structure, only through increases or decreases in chemical transmission. So you can have both.
that and the thing as you sawachi jangayata kasa and temper jet taken a cup cassa tanda galacharon sobanashe and chave young grace a chicha by and bina casananga sawachi jambi cups and a dalens at in the mandu or what dalens at in the mandu to come up with about tilatani ungre emana enko casa tukatilayan dromandu jeromandu chakolayan jeromandu gane and a dati mountain gorwa. Toilet the name grace. That tea nursing it that the daughter to temper jawa, temper jeba in Bayanaya, Jinekuranga took a month to a time, Jinekuranga wants a timbanyon to toilet and temper jawa grace.
So I'm wondering if. Oh.
And the Dutchies are Dani, Dalens to the Euris Kutana. The Barula Dutchies are taking that on the Jambati, the land within the Unaminas.
And earlier you have mentioned about the connections between axons and the axons. And in that case, one axon is transmitting the neurosignal and the other axons just receive the signal, or what is the communication between those two, the same ends of a neuron?
So these connections can get really weird. I don't know about every single type of axo-axonal connection, but sometimes you actually have axons that are stuck together by gap junctions.
Jiko neta mampuchu dayan samati kandado we have mukusra tanda delaya and kashing asuge dachi satin or dachi satin kora dachi satin to dachi satin de and then the gap junctions as long as pertungu tunsam pertungu tukas as well pertungu tukati ju de tan kuran jawatinda yoris.
And that allows them to fire very quickly in synchrony together, which we think is important for certain functions.
That Tindala Tamba in Kuranga, Dan Jupotan, the Masukuranita, Nyamguchi, or what? Nyamguchi, the day and the Kugichi, Kasurata, jelly trailer penguins.
I have a question. Yeah, my question is can neuroplasticity heal brain damage? That's the first question. And my second question is how do we increase our neuroplasticity?
So if I hear you right, can neuroplasticity cause brain damage? And second, how can we increase plasticity?
Can neuroplasticity heal, like not cause brain damage, but can it heal?
Oh, can it heal? Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you want to translate the questions.
Tandati Galagi Traditirwa, Tampotela and Suga, one second, one side, letting us to the Lepagan, which is set grace, Mabaton grace, when it is suit grace, or what Tampoti teacher, and then you are taking and suing by now one sagging in shitty Mount Pela, and respect grace.
So neuroplasticity can heal brain damage, but only to a certain extent. So this is partly dependent on age. If somebody has a major traumatic brain injury before the age of 7 or so, they can regain most of their function. But for adults, you can't really regain lost tissue in the brain.
Once again, the lepi question, the Suchitria, and the Lucella Raligores, get a lepal exchange, the Kulu Chonchon capsule, then Tonduni Chonkas Chon by Bana, then once again, the Lepagi Jeku Jelly, the Manchushi and Chesut Cuyores, and Bana, Tami Tarmala Lepagi Chon by Bana, once in Yenslet and the day, Masuga Lepinange, Traponto Pontucci or what they should Tamadus Chesut Kumares.
But in adults, we do make just a few new neurons in the hippocampus. We don't make new neurons in most other places, but we do in the hippocampus. And we can't gain back cells that have died, but we can make new connections that can make up for some of their function.
Tapi termain banyak asu suta mana lah ya, ini wansa terus sahabat ini jauh rumah tapi siapa gila baca siapa lah ya, wansa terus sahabat dia tang, ini kasih kutun wansa terus sahabat zuai juga wah, itu yo mari.
So that is my, please go ahead.
Dua lens hamas this there. Yes, please. You can continue your answer the second question. I think this go.
Yes. Yeah. So the second question: how can we increase neuroplasticity? For one thing, everything we do, everything we learn, causes plasticity. So engaging in new experiences, trying new things is actually very good for our brains, and it tends to delay dementia. So that's one thing, just using our brains, trying new things.
That's again, when I got carry cheap and a cheap at the Latin, the Tanga Sugo, one second, yeshiti, one second, yeshiti, peggy or a species of another carry cheap at the Yansi cheap by Bina, and a Karsugre, one second, yeshiti, peba, teach but any Karsa. Dinado which jelly curry in Bana, they muted the drip by Bana, young as dementia Segura, the temperature Chigora, the young Nyung Tataya, Penguris.
Another very important, there are a number of things that could increase plasticity. Another very important thing is physical activity and exercise that leads to the release of hormones that help induce plasticity in our brains or make plasticity stronger. So physical movement of some kind, as much as a person can do, is very useful.
They are Shenda Shepa Bana, or the Tanga Sushi good director, the Shenda Bana Sugu Lupugul Jonchia, Lupugu Sejon by Banaya, and taking us once again Shitu Kurapegi or is one. The Kanaspego is another Lupugu Jonta by Bana, taking us to La Menzichu Logo, Menzichu Logi, Menzitige, and Tandaga once again Shiti, Nidus Tatuku Yata, the Perachigres. This there. Please continue your answer.
Just one more thing. There are also, drugs and chemicals that can, and hormones that can increase plasticity. And sometimes we think about using those with therapy.
Shenda Tanga Suga men do da Tenero or Shenda Tenero Peshutang data, Menta, and a Menzit in the Peshutang data, once again, Shiti Pay Tenero or is the theory Peshutan Chipe Watela Yang Asuge, the Suchi Suguda therapy Segudo, Suchi Sigris. Sureta Gera was in Akazoparwe. Shouldn't try you.
O Jordan Riggin.
How do you share the chance?
When you tour the Dimba. Ngaju di remote di sumba remote sumba dengan la sija sawa ji jangan di sumba remote na tan di sumba kashi di wangza sawa dugyo doji trida wangza maru dugyo doji ane ta jina wangza ta di wangza seri na la ane sija sawa jangan di sumba wangza maru dugyo keje shige sara wangza sawa dugya di dan ane kemu chini gapso ngaju tabung di subung nige jung ane tabung sawa ji dugyo jiyo o dingi la chaba kar wangza tazu wangza shija sawaji jangbayi na ane karsa di zubung tabung chigla tabung sawa jungyo mara wande chigi chiro ane tewa nipa de tanda chego dan tewa chin wangzu tanda chego remote dinga do somba di shugu chigamla da remote shidi wora remote shidi mi chigi deya rebe soso chibu deya rebe yamana tanda koraji gyabju songa gengi ye la tangla ne ye la tangdo somba soso di shugu di shimba dhugura ane di nipa de kapsu ane di karsa shimba chigi deya re kande re wanda chego dhubdang de tes gonyo dhawar
Tangi tampu tele ya tukku yore sawa tukku yore tukku mare tukku shirkina te tukku yomar score wa I have two questions. First one is wanna walk around and check the drawings. In the third panel, I see some people drew new neurons. Want to learn something new. Is that the case? In the biology, we learned mitosis and then the cell division. And over here, is that the case, or is that the case? New neurons formed when we learn something new. And second question is about this activity. And when we go teach this kind of activity, should people just pass around the drawing and each person draw each panel, or one person just finish all 4 panels of that drawing activity?
Okay, both great questions. So usually in the adult brain, we're not making new neurons as part of plasticity. An exception is in the hippocampus. There's one little area of the hippocampus that does seem to make new neurons, and this is one of the things that's increased by exercise, by some of those hormones. But mostly in the adult brain, when we think about learning, when we think about plasticity, we think about changes in the connections between neurons that already exist. And the second question, for doing an exercise like this, it depends on what we're doing, what we're trying to learn. Sometimes I have people work on something on their own. Sometimes we pass it around. In this case, it was useful to pass it around because you get a chance to look at what other people are thinking about neurons, about plasticity, and reflect on that.
That's really important. To pick up, and it's Sansalaya Susu Chiputna, me girl at Richina, Sansamaya, those standard Chirukana and Dredge Goroa. Tandagi and a remote jetting by Bina, and in those Susu training me Jandala Dredge Goroa. Ngasuga remove me mando trina yahuyores kachla baina ani susu chitrimi shenda tigitin du sion stambalaya susulaya mi shenda ge chig thoya ge shenda ge remove triati thoya kokachira gorwa thoya kokachira na te gatele samluta ya ta ani yan tim se susu ge tampo remove trisaju te ga samluta kokachira gorwa this stambala tandan dina do baina ani susu ge tri malaya tang che chora mi shenda ge triachi tinai to china yabuyores. That's why, you know.
So I wonder. Oh, okay.
Close on.
The Rumaniba dance Vajdo. Or Tini parody than the ones I get than the Kusotaji or the Cabaret, the Kalikahodo. Carsena Nietzsche once a top on Nigger Conjetici and Tigo, what the Tini Rumo. Niba dance by the Oti once I top on the Tion Calazotella and the Cabaret.
For me, when I draw the second and the third picture, it's difficult for me to distinguish the differences. So, in the second one is communicate with another, and the third one learning something new. So, what is the difference in that second and third panel?
Well, I actually want to turn that question back around and ask what you think that the difference might be between simply communicating and learning.
Once a treasure you parola datangores tita once a treasure tati nitsu sabachi jangre says tambala kuran you parola keper cario series chesuta by mana. Tunsamar, Sambatilla Tunsamar. More synapses in the third panel than the second. Just complicated.
Kengi Kula the remote in the country to go to Sudirita. Liga Garin Domi Lavomata, the remote in a remote container to go race.
Tunsamat Tangola, Tunsamar, Tunsamar to Shala, remote Harmar.
Remote
Okay, this is draw your pen again. Please take it over. We have like only a few minutes.
Hello, hi. So some of these questions, because we're getting close to wrapping up, I can answer some of these questions after tea. That's the plan, is to continue to debrief this activity and do more on plasticity after tea break.
Tanda nga suda chitu zodu ku warwa chechula ya draw your pen so che person ga jela ya dus draw la len jab che ne tanda nga su wansa ga nyen shi tan devi ge ne tan de la dus tagiyens ne tigi jela draw your pen ne tigi jela nga su len de che ne len de shin tanda nga su drip sha ju che go chi warwa de la tayens.
So before we let Anne go, yeah, if you have any parting thoughts for each other.
Well, I did want to say, actually, I could come back just for a few minutes after the break, if that works for you, because I am very curious just about how people found this activity.
Yes, please and thank you. I just wanted you to be able to go to bed if you needed to.
I'm up late.
Perfect.
That's just how I am.
Okay. So since it's close to 10, is it okay if we wrap up this session and then go to tea, and then we'll start back again after tea?
Right, and then I switch to Charles and Ted. What take a percentage in the percentage down to Jelaya and Shanghai to the Chigins, Roa, Netanda, Nigella, but I am shared Yamshi that Chesu Tigala, Canada, Nandum to Ticola, Tanish to do sons. Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your beautiful drawings.